The Dershow.
So based on what you just said about the process that is due that illegal immigrant in this case, wouldn't, let's say, for instance, many of them have been registered under the CBP One app under the Biden administration. So their status as illegals is already established. So why do they need due process then again to prove that they are illegal rather than legal immigrants being deported?
What if they say no? Well, we don't agree with you. We're not included in that. I have a right to show a paper that says I'm not included with that, or we think it's unconstitutional.
Right.
So the only people who get no process at all, are non-Cubans, because Cubans, there's an exception to this, but non-Cubans who climb over a fence or cross the Rio Grande and are caught within 2 minutes of coming into the country, 15 feet away from the border. The courts have held they have no due process. They can simply be physically taken and removed and brought back in the country. There's a special rule for Cubans. It's called the 1 foot rule. If you can make it into the country and put 1 foot on the ground, you get asylum status. But that's legislative and administrative. So
then the question is, and I think I've heard you address this in different speeches you've given, maybe you can help us understand, the practical question.
Yeah.
If everyone is entitled to this kind of due process and we have 20 million illegal aliens in our country, what's the possibility of getting even a meaningful number of them out that wouldn't take 10 years to accomplish?
Very simple. No, it'll take 10 minutes. Here's what you do. You take them out of the country without giving them process. You then give them an opportunity to challenge their deportation by Zoom from the American Embassy or from some other place. Due process doesn't mean you have to be there in person. Due process means that you have to have an opportunity to challenge and a guarantee that if the court rule, take for example this guy from Maryland.
I was just going to raise that. I mean,
Okay.
you said, this is a constitutional conflict. If there would be one example where it seems pretty close to a crisis, it would be in the case of Kilmar
because the
Abrego
court did
Garcia.
say you have to facilitate his return. The court was wrong. The court didn't read the briefs. The court didn't understand the case. This guy was not given the right not to be in the country. The court had already decided he's deportable. He just wasn't deportable to, was it Guatemala or Nicaragua? I forget what. No, it's not El Salvador. That's where he went. The actual asylum grant was to a third country. I don't remember which one it was. You can check it out on Google. But the court got it all wrong. So he had no right to be in the country, and the court has no right or no power to bring him back to the country. His only right is whether he can be compelled to stay in El Salvador, Guatemala, or Nicaragua, or have his deportation order modified by a discretionary grant of asylum. Remember, asylum is not a constitutional right. 900 Jews will tell you that when their boat, the St. Louis, wasn't allowed to dock in New York. They had no right to asylum. They should have been given it, but they have no constitutional right to do it. So the Supreme Court, again, it got it wrong because it didn't understand the facts of the case. He was not given the right to stay in the United States. He was given the right discretionarily not to be sent to a particular country where his life could have been threatened. And by the way, he was sent to El Salvador, which has a decent legal system. People say, oh my God, he was sent to a horrible prison. Has anybody been in Rikers Island? What American, what New Yorker has the right to complain about any prison? I mean, I've been in gulags in China. I've been in gulags in Russia. I've been in gulags in many other countries in the world. Nothing is worse than Rikers Island.
Not as an inmate.
Nothing is worse than Rikers
Can I
Island.
just, so back to the Dershowitz law of immigration that you'd like to impose on America, and maybe it's helpful. So you're suggesting that we should just deport illegals first to locations that have American embassies and let them then appeal?
But you would need to have some due process.
Let me be very clear about that. You have to have probable cause. If you have probable cause, it's like a search warrant. If you have probable cause, you can search without getting further judicial approval. Certain instances, you have to get a warrant. Other instances, if it's subject to arrest, you don't have to get a warrant, but you can do the search. The same thing would be true here. If you have probable cause, you have to establish probable cause. You have to show he's not a citizen. You have to show there's a paper that says he's subject to deportation. And then he's deported. And then he's given a paper with the address of the American embassy, the Zoom numbers, and given an opportunity, scheduled within 5 days, to have an opportunity to due process challenge the deportation.
I'm not sure we have the embassy staff these days to handle this out, right?
Well,
that's another
what
part
percentage
of
of people do you think would actually take advantage of it? Very tiny percentage, because vast majority of them are subject to deportation. They know they'll lose, and that's why when the United States sent out its offer saying if you leave voluntarily, maybe then you can come back, a lot of people have taken advantage of that because they know they don't have a legal claim to being in the country. All they have, let's remember another thing, asylums. Let me give you a trivial pursuit question. We know tens of thousands of cases every year are subject to claims of asylum. What percentage of them do you think are granted after a hearing? About 11%. So almost 90% are false. So the vast majority of asylum claims have no basis at all. They're, for example, I was involved in a case some years ago where an Arab was sent to Israel, and he claimed asylum on the ground that he'd be tortured. I had a case, it was in front of Judge Weinstein when he was a federal district court judge. Ramsey Clark represented the Arab, and I was the expert witness on behalf of the United States. And, you know, in a minute, Judge Weinstein concluded that Israel was not going to torture him, and he was not subject to that kind of a claim, and his claim of amnesty was rejected. Interestingly enough, he was then sent back. He blew up a bus, an Egged bus in Tel Aviv, killing 18 people, and he was sent back to Israel, was not tortured, and he was acquitted. He was acquitted after the trial. They couldn't prove beyond a reasonable doubt that it was he who planted the bomb. So, you know, most claims of amnesty are rejected, and most claims of violation of due process are ultimately rejected. Why do they make these claims if they're going to be rejected? Because it buys them time. It buys them a year, 2 years, 3 years, and it's been held by bar associations that it's not frivolous to make a claim, even though you know you're going to lose it, if it will buy your client time. Whether that's the right ethics rule or not, I don't know, but that's the way law is practiced by the immigration bar today, just buying time.